In far north Queensland, there is a small town celebrating a big history. Alarish was established in 1920 as a World War I discharged soldiers' settlement. The soldiers named their new home in commemoration of the taking of Alarish during the war. At the time, Alarish was part of Palestine. Today, it is a city of Egypt. During World War I, Egypt's Alarish was a critical supply base for Australian soldiers, saving many lives. Australia's Alarish flourished throughout the 20th century as the soldiers embarked on building a prolific sugarcane industry. "100 years later, in 2020, Alarish remains committed to preserving the significance of its rich history. To celebrate its centenary on 1st of August 2020, Alarish unveiled a new cenotaph featuring a rising sun forged by its local blacksmith. Experience the fascinating history of Alarish by visiting the Alarish Diggers Museum.
Fellow councillors, staff and residents viewing via live stream, good morning all and welcome. I acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of the land on which this meeting is being held and pay my respect to the elders, past, present and emerging. We have one apology, that's from Councillor Pervin. Are there any other apologies? Thank you. The declaration of material conflict and conflict of interest. Please use this opportunity to make public any material personal interests and or conflicts of interest, real or perceived, in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and the regulations. Are there any conflicts to declare, councillors? Councillor Farinelli.
Mr Mayor, I have a conflict of interest in item 7.1, which is in our confidential, because my husband is employed by IMEC and I believe they are on the tender list. So I will be leaving the meeting for any discussions and votes. Yeah, thanks, Councillor Farinelli. Any other conflicts to declare, councillors? If not, before we move into the formal agenda, I'd just like to take this opportunity to extend warm birthday greetings to our CEO, James. Happy birthday, James.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
I will not divulge the source who dobbed you, but we can have a talk about it over a beer if you like.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. It's a milestone for me to hit my 39th birthday, or not.
Or not. Okay, we move into the formal part of the agenda, confirmation of minutes. Would somebody move that to confirm the previous minutes are a true and accurate record? Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Any business arising from the previous minutes? I'll take that as a no. We'll move into item 3, Governance, Environment and Finance, and the first report is item 3.1, delegations, council to the Chief Executive Officer, and this will be delivered by Ms Kerr. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Ms Kerr.
Good morning. Through the chair. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval to delegate certain powers under the Local Government Act. All the relevant powers to the regulations specified above are highlighted. So, is this on? Yeah. The Land Act, the Land Regulation and the Local Government Regulation. I have attached track changes in the tables to the report and it is recommended for approval today. Thank you.
Any questions for the officer, councillors? Okay, will somebody move that the report be received, please? Moved by Councillor Millwood, seconded by Councillor Baines. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Kerr.
Nice work.
Move on to item 3.2, Finance Report, and this will be delivered by Ms Bradley. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This morning we have for you our September monthly council report and finance report. So the budget that's adopted within these reports is our original budget that was adopted. Our budget review for September is expected to come to the next council meeting for consideration. So this report provides council's year-to-date revenue expenditure across departments, programs and services, as well as crucial financial statistical data for the month of, or year-to-date to September. So some of the highlights include our operational revenues currently sitting at 41.6 mil, which is 1.53 mil over budget in comparison to the year-to-date budget of 40.08 mil. Operational expenditures sitting at 22.7 mil, which is 2.59 mil under budget in comparison to the budget of 25.35 mil. The end of month cash balance was 33.32 million. Capital expenditure for the month totaled 3.37 million and year-to-date capital expenditure including commitments totals 20.9 million. So this is 13.8% in comparison to the full year budget excluding commitments and 37% including commitments. So I'd like to apologise for the blurred tables in your report. It's a technical issue that we are working on and hopefully will be resolved for the next council meeting. So, yeah, your glasses are fine. Measures of financial sustainability. Our operating surplus ratio is currently sitting at 45.31%, which is within the target range. Asset sustainability ratio is at 105.62%, also within the target range. And our net financial liabilities ratio is sitting at minus 100.13%, also within our target range. Underneath that is our summary of financial results. So I'll just go through some of the key highlights out of that. Net rates and utilities, currently tracking over budget due to the prompt payment discount to be applied up until the rate's due date, totaling $945,000. And water consumption is currently tracking under budget by about $170,000. So just a reminder on our rates that the due date is tomorrow in order to get our discount for rates notices. Fees and charges is also tracking over budget, mainly relating to the relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions, which has resulted in increased revenue across caravan parks and campgrounds. Interest is currently tracking under budget due to lower interest rates, which council still continues to monitor closely and invest where we can. Operational grants, we have non-budgeted partial funding that's been received for the Innisfail Bowls Club project and Works for Queensland COVID program. So these will be included in the September budget review for consideration at the next meeting. Contributions, currently under budget because our first quarter state waste levy contribution has not yet been received. Sales and recoverable works is over budget due to an RMPC claim that's been put forward and they're adjusted in the budget review. Employee expenditures under budget due to capital works program being the focus at this point in time, year to date, and materials and services expenditures under budget relating to timing of invoices around our transfer stations, waste levy, fuel costs and maintenance expenditure. Capital grants is over budget due to our advanced receipt of the Works for Queensland program, additional TIDS funding for Cowley Creek Bridge, DRFA funding and Tully Showgrounds also. So a lot of those items will be addressed in the budget review moving forward to align the budget with what we've received. Underneath that is our investment performance. So for the month ending 30th September, as mentioned, Council had 33.3 million, which was distributed across various investment types to try to maximise our return on investment. We had 30% of our funds sitting in a fixed term deposit, which was averaging 0.8% to 1.55%. Not great, but reasonable under the current conditions. And since this report, we have locked away another 10 million at 1.05% at the moment. Capital projects currently tracking on budget. We've got infrastructure year-to-date capital expenditure at 3.3, water sitting at 1.05 and delivery at 2.6. Budget risks. So as mentioned last month, Council and management continuously monitor any budget risks that emerged throughout the month. There aren't any changes at this point in time from what we went through last month, but if further things occur, they'll be brought to Council's attention. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Any questions for the officer, councillors? I have one question in relation to the recent $10 million deposit at 1.55%. Who did we place that money with?
That was with AMP, and that was before end of financial year. We were able to lock some funds away for 6 months.
In the current climate, that's a pretty good interest rate. Go to some of the banks and they're below 1%. So yes. I think our staff have done extremely well locking in 1.55.
Yes.
Yep.
If only had it been for longer.
Yeah. Any further questions for Ms Bradley? Move the report be received and noted. Seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you,
Ms Bradley. We move on to asset sustainability, item 4.1, Work for Queensland report, and Ms Perini will deliver this report. Welcome.
Morning. Morning. So this report is provided to inform the Council of the update for the progress of the 2019 to 21 Works for Queensland program and the 2020-21 COVID Works for Queensland program. So earlier this year, Council secured $2.37 million in the 2021 COVID Works for Queensland program, in addition to the 2019-21 Works for Queensland program. So under the COVID Works for Queensland program, there are 6 projects. Out of those 6, 5 are in progress and 1 is yet to commence. Under the 2019-21 Works for Queensland program, out of the 22 projects, 9 of those projects are complete and the rest are progressing. I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Chewy.
Good morning, Ms Perini. Thank you for your report. I'm just inquiring about the shade sales at the Mission Beach Aquatic Centre. I know they were part of the Works for Queensland program, and it wouldn't be a day at Mission Beach if somebody doesn't ask me about shade at the pool. So
Sure.
I'll just ask you how we're going.
Sure.
Thank you.
Through the chair. So the Mission Beach shade sales fall under the COVID round of Works for Queensland in the in the community facilities improvement. So that project is underway. It's sitting with the design team at the moment. They're liaising with a local company for the shade sale, and they are doing footing locations at the moment. So they require quite extensive investigations for that to make sure we don't hit any services or locations. So it is underway.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, any further questions for Ms Perini on that report? If not, would somebody move the report be received and noted? Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Ms Perini. We move on to item 4.2, the NDRRA and DRFA report, and Mr Sanders will deliver this report.
Good morning, Council.
Welcome.
you. This report outlines the progress made to date for the restoration program under the NDRRA and DRFA funding arrangements. There's been no change to the approved funding allocations with no more submissions from Council. We are 100% complete with our 2018 works, which I may have reported on last time, but it is still there as we are working through our acquittals to receive our funding, which you could, in attachment 1, outlines that we still have revenue to come in, so we're working with QRA to finalise the payments for 2018. In relation to our 2019 program, we have 2 contractors currently still working on the contracts awarded in January 2020 with approximately $600,000 worth of work out of that $5 million package to complete. One contractor has commenced the contracts that were awarded in August and has spent around $350,000 year to date, which is not reflected in these figures. So it's been a good month during the month of September for us, progress-wise. That is then shown, or some of that is reflected then in the expenditure to date there, with roughly $6.4 million worth of work in 2018, and expenditure to date including commitments of approximately $9 million for the 2019 program. There is obviously details there in page 3 and 4 of attachment 1 showing those figures. It is, I guess, a highlight over the last quarter, particularly in the last fortnight, is that we have advertised for submissions for the betterment projects there, which we have listed, and we received the submissions last week, 7 submissions for those works, about $950,000 worth, and we intend to have an evaluation completed on that by the end of this week and be bringing that to Council shortly to progress that. Those projects are on Blackman Road, Hamilton Road and Stevenson Road. In attachment 1, there's also some detailed information, programs on the progress and photos for your information. And obviously the recommendation is there before you that you receive and note the progress to date, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Sanders. Any questions for the officer, councillors? If not, would somebody move the recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Farinelli. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Sanders. We move on to organisational cultural development and item 5.1, proposed amendments to the organisational structure. Mr. Crosby will present this report. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. Okay. So this report that is before Council today talks about 2 proposed amendments to the organisational structure. The first of those is as a result of proposed amendments that have taken place in the electoral, I should say, and other legislation, Accountability, Integrity and Other Matters Amendment Act, which results in the Mayor being able to request the role of Mayor's Executive Personal Assistant to perform tasks consistent with guidelines produced by the Chief Executive Officer and also in accordance with the acceptable request guidelines. So to support that change, it is proposed that the position of Mayor's Executive Personal Assistant report to the Chief Executive Officer instead of directly via the Governance Lead role. That's the first change proposed. The second proposed amendment follows a review of a role of senior planner after a recent resignation of the incumbent from the role, and recommends that that position change to a technical officer role based on a change in current and foreseeable building and planning activity and the associated change in the nature of assessment and approvals within the area. If approved, that change would also result in net savings in the order of approximately $12,000 per annum in year 1. So it's for the remainder of the 2021 financial year, and $21,500 per annum in subsequent years. So that's the first report.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Any questions for the officer? Councillor Millwood.
Through the chair, good morning, Mr. Crosby.
Good morning.
Just that second position of the senior planner that's now been changed to technical officer.
Technical officer.
Yeah, that do we give opportunity for somebody in the organisation already to step up into that position?
Yes, yeah. So the position would be vacant because it is replacing an existing position that is being reviewed. So the existing position reviewed is senior planner, so that would change in this proposal to a technical officer, and the role would be advertised. So internals, yes, would apply.
Any further questions for the officer? If not, I'll ask somebody to move the recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor Farinelli, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We move on to item 5.2, the Christmas New Year shutdown, and Mr Crosby will present this report.
Thank you. This report relates to the closure of council offices and also depots at the Christmas and New Year period. So what is proposed in this report is that libraries and depots be closed over the Christmas and New Year period, that period being from Monday the 21st of December 2020 through to Sunday the 3rd of January 2021 inclusive, returning to full services on Monday the 4th of January 2021. This is a normal practice that does apply in respect of the close down of council offices, depots, libraries over the Christmas New Year period. The point of differentiation, however, that I will point out for this year is that the period that is being proposed is a period of 7 ordinary working days over that period, so not counting the public holidays that fall. The reason that the extended period is being recommended is that there are many other businesses that supply to council, first of all, that are also closed down during that period, and with many other businesses also shutting down through that period, there is, we believe, a community expectation that employees would be taking leave during that particular period. The other thing that is proposed in this report is that it is recognised that this is a period where some normal parts of council businesses will still take place. So there may be breakdowns, for example, and this is also the period through which disasters may occur, for example, floods and or cyclones. And so the report does propose that we maintain a skeleton staff, first of all, to provide those essential services that do need to continue, and in the event of any disaster, there are arrangements in place through council's emergency management plans and also business continuity plans for staff to respond in those instances. The other part of the operations that would remain open are the information centres, so they will continue to operate during the close down except for the public holidays that fall during that period. So the recommendation, summing up, is that the council does authorise the closure of its offices, libraries, depots, except for those essential and emergency services, from Monday the 21st of December 2020 to Sunday the 3rd of January 2021, reopening on Monday the 4th of January 2021, and that those closures be advertised in the local media, on council's web and Facebook pages, and notices placed on public notice boards in council offices and libraries.
Thank you, Mr Crosby. Any questions for the officer? Consultation with the workforce, they were consulted on this?
That's right. So the workforce, certainly through the Joint Consultative Committee that does meet, the Joint Consultative Committee does exist of unions representing employees on that committee. I will say that the unions during that consultation process did not agree with the proposal, and their request was predominantly that we stick with a period of the close down only between that week of Christmas and New Year. So that was the union's feedback in relation to this matter.
Thanks, Mr Crosby. Any further questions for the officer? If not, would somebody move the recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Tui, seconded by Councillor Farinelli. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr Crosby.
Thank you.
We move on to item 5.3, the 124th LGAQ Annual Conference, and CEO Mr Gott will present this report.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Typically, a LGAQ annual conference is accompanied with the recommendation that the Mayor and the CEO attend. However, in consultation with the Mayor this year, we've agreed that neither of us will seek to attend the conference at the Gold Coast, partly because of COVID concerns or concerns that COVID may take a different pathway between now and the 19th to 21st of October, and largely to produce some budgetary savings. So this is essentially an information piece. The procedure for Council's vote to be maintained provides for a proxy to be put in place, and if this report is received by Council, then we will this afternoon be providing our proxy to Townsville City Council, Mr Mayor. So any questions, happy to answer. Any questions for the officer on that report, please? I'd just like to highlight that, yeah, COVID-19 is an issue, but for me, the savings in the budget is also a prime reason for not attending. We have an $8,000 surplus in this current budget, so every dollar we can find, and that $8,000 surplus is built on the back of $400,000 savings through asset rationalisation, which we're yet to enter into the process on. So every dollar we can sum up now, I think, is going to contribute to keeping our budget in surplus, and I support the recommendation on that basis, putting COVID aside. So Councillor Farinelli's moved the report, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. We now move into general business. Any general business items, councillors? Councillor Millwood.
Through the chair, yes, I've just got a little bit of a spiel here on our War Upon Waste, which was released yesterday. It's alarming to think that people are choosing to disrespect our environment by illegally dumping rubbish in our nature reserves. We have several waste facilities in our region. Actually, there's 7 waste facilities within our region. They're very easily accessible. We want everyone to know that it's not okay to rubbish in our backyard, and I encourage you, if you see any of this activity, to please report it to council. We have a message to put out there that we are watching you and we will fine you. And also we had another good story yesterday where we visited the Endeavour Foundation, who we currently have teamed up with to deliver a first for the far north in delivering a mattress recycling program. It was a really great day. It was great to interact with the people there. I actually got in and was helping rip apart the mattresses, which was very therapeutic. Oh, I liked it. I could go back there again. So please don't dump your mattresses. Please take them there so we can keep these people in jobs. And once they're dismantled, we reduce our landfill from approximately 130 cubic metres down to just 1 cubic metre. So that's a lot of landfill that we save. So please be mindful of what you're doing with your rubbish. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Further to the war on waste, council can't do this on our own, and we are appealing to the community to partner with us, and we do it on the basis of the 3 R's: reduce, recycle and report. Reduce your own waste at home, recycle wherever possible, and if you are aware of illegal dumping, report it. In relation to recycling, there is a real good story for this council. There is a myth that we don't recycle. Well, in fact, we are now recycling 23 different items, and the mattress is the top of the pile. When you think about the volume that it takes up in our 7 refuge sites, we've now formed a unique partnership with Endeavour Foundation, the only one in Queensland, And as Councillor Millwood just highlighted, they are now stripping mattresses down to the steel and the fabric. And it's a great outcome for our community. When we presented that to the Mission Beach State School a month ago when we were doing the tour of Councillor Chewy's division, you could see the children light up to know that recycling is happening, and the legacy that this generation leaves for those kids is going to be a good one. So the myth about this council not recycling is wrong. We are now at the level of 23 items being recycled. So it's a great story, and the war on waste is one that we all have a stake in it, and council can't do it on our own. So thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Millwood.
With your permission, Mr. Mayor, may I put a question to Councillor Millwood?
For sure.
Did you find any large stashes of money in any of the mattresses? Because if so, it's one of my old mattresses.
No, I did not. Further to, through the chair, further to the mayor's comment, we actually have 2 other new recycling items at our transfer stations. One is wet paint and the other is household batteries, just for general information.
Okay. Any further general business? Councillor Barnes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Only this week. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Only this week, Council have placed expressions of interest concerning the Clump Point Marine Facility. Anyone interested, it's on the LG tender box. I went on myself, it's quite easy, just push CCRC when you get through to that. The council's officers have done a great job in conjunction with the governments, and it's well worthwhile a look, and we can't wait for everyone to be using it. So any of those marine users wish to get a swing mooring, etc., just go on LG tender box. Also, Mr. Mayor, this week we spent time with the engineers looking at some of the machinery, and we may get one of our officers to talk later on something which is very important to the general public. They've come up with a new sweeper machine. The current one is giving us problems. It's got downtime of probably 68 days per year. And the Cairns Council have a few different trucks, and in conjunction with them we've come up with another body with another truck, Australian made, and it's up to the officers and council, of course. But the downtime's very low. It's Australian made, and it's got auxiliary motors and not overloading the truck, etc. So, yeah, just those couple of things, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Any further general business? Okay, we then now go into confidential, and I'd ask somebody to move we go into committee, please. Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Chewy. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, councillors, would somebody move that we move out of committee now, please? Moved by Councillor Toohey, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And we hand over to Mr Vick to present item 7.1, the tender on the register of pre-qualified suppliers for plant and truck hire. Councillor
Mr Mayor, I just need to advise you again that I will be leaving the room as I have a conflict of interest in item 7.1 in that my husband works with one of the existing tenderers.
Thanks, Councillor Farinelli.
Good morning, councillors. Good morning, Mr Mayor.
Morning.
Good morning, CEO. So this morning I'm tabling the report for the tender of register of pre-qualified suppliers for plant and truck hire, contract number COW 000012. Council advertised tenders in August 2020, inviting new suppliers to tender for the existing register of pre-qualified suppliers for plant and truck hire, for the engagement of externally hired plant within the Cassowary Coast area. The existing RPS arrangement has been in place for 24 months and has recently extended for a further 12 months period to 30th of September 2021. Just tabling this as a recommendation that Council accept the new suppliers listed in this report.
Okay, thanks, Mr Vick. Any questions for the officer? If not, would somebody move the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll wait for Councillor Farinelli to re-enter and we'll move on to item 7.2. Back to you, Mr Vick.
Okay, this morning I am tabling the register of pre-qualified suppliers for trade and technical services, contract number CRW W00013. Council called for tenders in August 2020, inviting new suppliers to tender for the existing register of pre-qualified suppliers for trade and technical services. This tender allows council staff to engage suitably qualified, pre-qualified suppliers of trade and technical services within the Cassowary Coast local government area. The existing RPS arrangement has been in place for 24 months and has recently been extended for a further 12-month period to September 30, 2021. Recommendation is to accept all new suppliers listed in this report.
Thanks, Mr Vick. Any questions for the officer? If not, would somebody move the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Toohey, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. And that brings our meeting to a close at 9:50. Thank you.